Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about Michael Penix as the Falcons went out to Seattle to have a private workout with him. And then we'll talk about Desmond Ridder, who's kind of getting dragged through the mud online. I'll bring you guys in on the loop on all that. But welcome on into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, battling a little bit of a cold, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit congested. But I was looking at the April subscriber numbers, and Falcons Today has 88 subs through the first week of the month. However, Saints now, 91. 3 subs back. I know 3 of you watching are not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead, hit the sub button so we can take down Saints now in subscribers. But let's get right into it. As Albert Breer tweeted out, this was on Friday, by the way, the Falcons are sending a sizable group to Seattle to conduct a private workout with Washington QB Michael Penix today, per sources. Head coach Raheem Morris and GM Terry Fontenot are among those in the traveling party, which left this morning. And I love this next part, by the way. He goes, Atlanta holds the 8th overall pick. Dun, dun, dun. As if Atlanta's going to take Michael Penix, number 8 overall. Like, that pick has nothing to do with the Falcons going to visit Michael Penix. But, you know, they're going to drive up intrigue. So, very nice job, Albert Breer. We've all done it before. A little bit of a clickbait, but haters can't hate. Now, let's talk about Michael Penix. So, had the workout. I have some issues with Atlanta drafting Penix. And I actually like Michael Penix a lot as a quarterback. I think he has a good chance of being successful in the NFL. And personally, I like him more than J.J. McCarthy. He's number 3 or number 4 on my QB list. And maybe you can even persuade me to putting him 3 ahead of Jaden Daniels. But anyway, my issue is that Penix turns 24 years old in May. And I'm not going to be ageist here, right? I'm not Creed Bratton. But Kirk Cousins is under contract through 2027. So if you just kind of count with your fingers, Kirk Cousins is going to be this team's starting quarterback for the next 2 seasons, which means if you drafted Penix, he's going to be 25 years old next year and 24 this year. So that's 26 in 3 years, what he maybe could take over from Kirk Cousins if Atlanta wanted to make a change. So you really want to draft a guy that may not start a game for you week 1 until he's 26 years old? I feel like there are better spots for Penix to go, and I don't think Atlanta should be hostage-ing a player that wouldn't be 26, 27, maybe even 28 years old until he makes his first NFL start. If Kirk Cousins starts for the next 2 or 3, maybe even up to 4 years of his contract, right? Kirk Cousins surely expects to play all 4 years. Even if he only plays 2 to 3, like we just went over, Penix is going to be towards 26, 27. We're encroaching in Brandon Weeden territory for making your first NFL start. But I do like Penix as a quarterback. This is not me saying don't draft Penix because he stinks. I just don't think it's a very good fit for the Falcons. And if I'm Penix, I don't think it's a great fit for him either. Not like he has a say in the matter. So I've got 2 theories as to why Atlanta sent a sizable group to go visit Michael Penix. Theory number 1. Day 2 draft target. It's never a bad idea to take a quarterback, and the Falcons currently only have 2 quarterbacks on their roster. Taylor Heineke took a pay cut to stay with the team, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Falcons are looking to have some competition for the backup quarterback role. Kirk Cousins is older. He's coming off an Achilles. It's always a good idea to have a competent backup, and if they feel like Penix could really push Heineke for that job, then I'm okay with taking a good backup QB. It's one of the more sneaky important positions, despite them potentially not playing a single snap for you. So my issue with it, though, is this could blow up in your face. Because when you go back in time to when the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins, the biggest draw for Kirk to Atlanta was not his wife growing up in Alpharetta, believe it or not. It was the fact the Vikings only gave Kirk Cousins 1 year, 2024, of guaranteed money, giving them a way out if they wanted to draft a quarterback this year and move on from Kirk and give it over to the rookie or the second-year player at the time in 2025. Atlanta, however, remember, they gave Kirk Cousins 3 years of guaranteed money. They were showing in every possible way with their dollar amount that they are invested in Kirk Cousins being the Falcons quarterback until he retires. How do you think that's going to sit with your brand new, shiny $180 million quarterback? Hey, I know we just paid you guaranteed money for years 1, 2, and 3 of your contract, but we're already thinking about your replacement. That may not be what Atlanta's intentions are with the Penix pick, but you better believe that's what's going through Kirk Cousins' mind of, I just got here, I'm still unpacking boxes, and you're already drafting my replacement? I thought the whole reason you wanted me here and the reason I wanted to come down here was that we both had the same goal of Kirk Cousins will retire a Falcon. This doesn't really scream Kirk Cousins retires a Falcon, right? This screams Atlanta is already thinking about who could replace Kirk Cousins in a season or two. I think that time for that conversation is not this draft. Maybe next draft. At that point, Kirk Cousins will only have 2 more seasons of guaranteed money. But if you draft a quarterback this year and Kirk Cousins plays out the duration of his contract, I mean, if you go quarterback in round 2 or later, their rookie contract is going to expire the same exact time Kirk Cousins' deal does. So you may never even see that rookie play, and you'll have to make a very difficult decision as to whether or not you want to re-sign him. So that's theory number 1, that sure, Atlanta may be looking to get a good backup quarterback in day 2, but I think that's a bad idea. Day 3, I think that's going to sit a lot better with everyone involved. Theory number 2, smoke screen season, baby. You got to keep in mind that smoke screens, I feel like, are overblown for much of the year in sports. But when it comes to the NFL draft, I do think it's got a lot of legs to it. So when you look at Atlanta's draft picks for 2024, they're not going Michael Penix at 8. Sorry, Albert Breer. But maybe they're thinking about going Michael Penix at pick 43. And then you have teams behind Atlanta at pick 43 thinking, well, clearly the Falcons are interested in Penix. They even put Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot on the plane from Atlanta to Seattle. Man, he may not get past 43. If we want Penix, we're going to have to make a trade with the Falcons to move up and get him because he may not be available to us later in round 2 or earlier in round 3. So who could they be in that conversation? What about the Denver Broncos? I don't think they go quarterback at pick number 12. I think it's a tad too early for Bo Nix or Penix. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be there for them. So maybe the Broncos give the Falcons a call and think, well, we're picking at 76. Doesn't sound like Michael Penix is going to be available to us at pick 76. So how about a trade where the Falcons and the Broncos swap day 2 picks? Atlanta goes from pick 43 to pick 76. And in exchange for falling back about 30 spots, the Falcons pick up a 5th-round pick this year and Denver's 2nd-round pick next season. And like I've talked about before on the channel, if there are tampering allegations and a punishment's going to follow for the Kirk Cousins deal, may not be a bad idea to start stocking up on draft picks next year. That way, if the NFL comes in and takes away the Falcons' 2nd-round pick, they still have Denver's 2nd-round pick, so they're not really very far out of day 2 of the draft because of it. So would you trade back? Yes or no? Could be some smoke screens here to have the rest of the league thinking Atlanta wants to go Penix. If you want Penix, you got to move up and get him. And then the Falcons, who all along had no interest in getting Michael Penix, they walk away with an extra 3rd-round pick, so 3 picks in round 3 and a 2nd-round pick next year, when a lot of people are saying that they don't even like this year's draft all that much. Next up on the show, are fans roasting Desmond Ridder? I feel a little TMZ for talking about this, but it's kind of a funny story, and we're kind of in that lull between free agency and the draft, so I thought I would share that with you guys. But first off, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks, everyone's favorite sponsor. Thanks to Prize Picks, we have some awesome deals for the Dirty Birds, but all you have to do is download the #1 daily fantasy sports service in North America, pick 2 to 6 players. The more players you select, the more potential winnings, and then choose more or less on their projected stats. Now, if you need an example, no problem. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. For the national championship game on Monday night, which, by the way, is criminally late, we do this every single year, I'm taking the less on Zach Edey. I just feel like UConn's going to come up with a great game plan for him. I like the more on a UConn Husky as well, and then I'll take the more on Luka Doncic, 52.5 points, rebounds, assists combined. The Mavs, one of the hottest teams in the NBA. This one just feels like a fun one to root for. So if you like my selections, you can ride with me at prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I put that link, by the way, in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Choose more, choose less. It's that easy. Now, is Desmond Ridder getting roasted? He was definitely dragged through the mud online. And let me give you the background as to what all went down. Desmond Ridder did an interview with ESPN after getting traded to the Arizona Cardinals. And he mentioned some, I would say, juicy tidbits about his time in Atlanta. And this is the one that's really catching a lot of attention. On asked what he needs to improve on, he said, "One thing I want to improve is just getting out there playing free. A lot of the times I felt like I was playing not to mess it up, not to screw it up. And so just to be able to go out there, play free, play loose, play within the system." What the fuck? Why do you think you had to not play loose and play free? You kept screwing it up, Desmond, when you did those things. That's why there had to be constraints put on you. That's why you became a helicopter or quarterback from a head coaching perspective. When you played free, Desmond Ridder, you were one of the most turnover-prone quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's why you lost your starting job. You want to play free? That didn't go well the first time. I don't think that's a good idea. Letting Desmond Ridder cook. 12 picks, 12 fumbles, 9 of which were lost, 21 total turnovers. And he didn't even start the whole season. Play free? That's the opposite of what you need to be doing. I understand maybe wanting to get back to who you are as a player and all those cliches and whatnot. And I wasn't playing like how I usually play. But I don't think the remedy for Desmond Ridder, the guy who played too much of a loosey-goose game, fumbling, jogging into the end zone against the Buccaneers, the solution to that is play free. No. Desmond Ridder last year, sure, had some ups, had some downs, but the turnovers, and he talked about this next, and we'll share with you guys, were the absolute death of him. I mean, his turnover percentage, 2.4% of the snaps he took, he turned the ball over. Okay? Next highest, Sam Howell, who, by the way, led the league in interceptions, was not even at that high. He was at 2.1%. Trevor Lawrence, not far behind in the league leading turnovers, 2%. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, all these guys, by the way, playing much more football than Desmond Ridder. 2.4% turnover rate for Desmond Ridder last year. The worst in the NFL, I'm pretty confident. But more from Ridder. He says, "And then there were a lot of things that I did on film, a lot of good things that I did on film, and then there were some bad things. It just happened to be that those bad things outweighed the good." Yeah, that's what you call turnovers, Desmond. There was a lot of games where it was 90% good and 10% bad, and in those 10%, that just happened to be the determining factor of the game. I mean, I actually agree with what Ridder is saying here. It's a little bit of a Captain Obvious statement of like, yeah, the 10% bad, well, when they're catastrophically bad, it's probably going to be a very poor ending, right? It would be like if you were an investment banker. I made 9 good investments, but I made 1 bad investment. Oh, what was that one bad investment? Oh, I put $1 billion in crypto. Yeah, probably not going to go very well if the other 9 investments were in lemonade stands. So I actually don't disagree with what Ridder is saying here. And believe it or not, I do think there is some truth to, there was some good stuff on tape last year from Desmond Ridder. I mean, he did not even play the full season, and he had 3 games of 300 or more passing yards, only 1 less than Patrick Mahomes, 2 less than the NFL passing leader, Tua Tagovailoa, and Josh Allen not far behind. So he was in this company of like really good downfield throwers, and he moved the ball. He just turned it over once they got near the red zone, and he was the worst red zone quarterback in football last season. So I do agree with Ridder that there was some good stuff. Maybe not 90% to 10% bad, but those are just arbitrary numbers. But yeah, the 10% when they're game-altering bad, that tends to be something that cost you your job, right? So who do you blame more for last year? Since we're going to open up the yearbook and really to start talking about our X's. Desmond Ridder or Arthur Smith? For me, I think it's Desmond Ridder. When Raheem Morris spoke to the media at the Combine, he said if we had better quarterback play last year, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now. And Ridder was asked about that in this interview, and he said, well, it's a team sport. It's not just on me, but I know it is a team sport, and 11 guys have to do their job. But I mean, one of those positions is paid 10x more than every other position. So I could say one position has a little bit more weight to it. So yeah, sure. You were not the only issue last year with the Falcons, but you were the biggest issue with the Falcons last season. So I would say Desmond Ridder. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content today, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.